Oh, hey. What's up, Inspirators? It's your boy, Tony D, TonyDoyleInspires.com. Thanks for popping on the Inspirate channel today. Appreciate y'all checking me out. Today, I thought it would be interesting to share with you guys about my personal process of using the moon phases to manifest. And I don't know if that's something that you guys have heard of, something you do. Um, or something you'd be interested in. But if so, please stick around. Uh, would like to invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the little bell icon and we'll give you notification every time we go live um, or post up a new video, which is every single day. So we're dedicated to making new videos every day uh, to help you with inspiration, motivation, and aspirational leadership, those type of things. So if that is something you'd like I said, go ahead and do that. If you like this specific video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm for other folks to see it who wouldn't normally be invited to see it on YouTube. And if you love it, I would definitely invite you to share it out to your friends and family directly. So if you would do that for me, I would appreciate it. And with that being said, to get right into the content. So as I was saying, today I really thought it might be interesting for you guys to learn about manifesting with moon cycles. Somewhere on my channel here, there is a full moon video recorded and posted as well. Check that out for some other details as I talk specifically about full moon release and that type of thing. So I'll kind of go over it a little bit today, just sharing the full cycle with you. We are actually recording this as we speak on a new moon. So I thought it'd be interesting to introduce the process to you if you're not familiar with it. And if you are familiar with it, to share, my personal beliefs and processes along with that. So that being said, we will get into it. Um, so, like I said, this is a new moon, and if you, like me, manifest with the moon cycle, this is kind of what I would say is the first phase that is important to manifesting. Now, of course, this is a cycle, so nothing in a vacuum. But if we're going to start at a point, a new moon might be a good place to start as we talk about it. So a new moon is, so physically a new moon. If you look up in the sky and on an actual new moon, you won't be able to see the moon. Okay, so that means the moon is actually completely blocked. It is most often designated by a little sliver of a crescent. Okay, so that would be hours to days old of a moon. Um, and what we'd like to do in new moons, and those are all mapped out, and you can definitely check out. You can go to Google or lots of different pages to find the moon cycle, when the new moons are going to be, when the full moons are going to be, and actually all the phases in between as well. And once you get into this deeper, it may be something that you want to implement. And, as with all of these processes, these are customizable. There is not a one size fits all. It's about what resonates with you. So I would invite you to definitely, I'll share what I do, and if any of that resonates, feel free to take that. But look online for other folks. There's lots of people who use the moon and the moon phases and the power of the moon to help bring manifestations. So once again, so new moons are literally when we are going to set intentions for the next 28-day moon cycle. Okay. So you'll when you look it up and you find out about lunar calendars, you'll see that they don't necessarily completely coincide with the calendar that we use, or any other calendar. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but there are several calendars in use on the planet currently. There is not just the one that we use here in the Western Hemisphere. So that's actually an interesting find for some folks. And it's pretty cool to learn about the history, if you're into those type of things, of why some calendars start on certain dates and end on certain days, and what they do about leap years, and there's all kind of different things um, that you can get into. So let's just get back to lunar calendars. So lunar calendars start with the new moon, and they are 28-day cycles. So there is also a full moon, approximately 14 days within that cycle. So if you think about it, like a lot of folks, when I'm working with them on this, people look at it like the new moon is the start and the full moon is the end. Like new moon would be on day 1 and full moon would be on day 28, and it's not like that at all. Think of it more as a cycle, okay? So it's circular, and if the new moon is here and the full moon is here, there are several other things along the way, right? So it isn't just like a night and day kind of a thing. So the way we use that, and we use it to our advantage, is a lot of us, and like I said, you can customize how you do it yourself. What I like to do is set new intentions on new moons. Okay, so for those of you who have not been following me long, an intention is kind of like a goal. It's something that we're going to put power behind, we're going to put our focus on to bring to fruition. We can literally, it's the first stage of manifestation. So what we can do on if you're going to use it as a moon cycle, literally what I'm doing right now is setting intentions for the next lunar month or the next 28 days. So it's everything I'd like to see. Okay. And that being said, some of those things may be continuations of intentions from the last lunar month. Because what we do is we set our intentions, we put our focus on there. With all manifestation, we, listen for inspired action throughout the month. But it's really a focus. We may, and we'll talk about the actual process here, but this is kind of generalization, but we may review those, every week or so, just to see where we're at and remind ourselves what our intentions are. And then when we get to the full moon, that gives us a chance. And once again, that's about 2 weeks in, right? So it's about 14 days in out of a 28-day cycle is when you get your full moon every month. That gives us an opportunity to evaluate our life. Okay, so on the full moon, that's where we do a release ceremony. So that's where we release the thoughts, the things, the people, places, and things in our life that are no longer serving us. Okay, so literally, we're day by day, we're setting new intentions, we're working towards those, and we're letting the things that need to evolve out of our life do so. And then on the full moon, we will actually release that with love back to the universe, as everything is energy. So we release that energy back to the universe, and we will thank it for its service, because that is something that we drew to us at some point and served a purpose. So that's how I do it. So just that's kind of like an overall process, you know what I mean? And so then obviously after the full moon, we have another, 13 days before we get back to the new moon. So once again, that allows us, once we do that release ceremony, that gives us space to start thinking and dreaming and coming up with the next new intentions. Okay, like I said, it's a process, it's circular, and it's best if you think about that. I always think about it with the new moon at the top. We evaluate, we do a release ceremony at the full moon, and then we're back at the top, right? So, like I said, about every 28 days, we get a new moon. And it's actually super refreshing for me. Um, Before I had my spiritual awakening, or whatever you want to call it, um, I, like everyone else, we set New Year's resolutions, and for a whole year we're working towards these big things or whatever. Um, and honestly, most people never get a New Year's resolution accomplished. Very few people. Um, like worldwide, like the average is ridiculously low. That those type of goals ever get accomplished. This is much better for me, and it keeps me spiritually focused as well as I do it. In using something powerful like the moon. Anytime you bring a natural element like that into the mix, it definitely it reminds you who you are and where your place in the universe is. Um, yeah, so that being said, so just a little bit about it, about the actual new moon portion of this. Now, I actually do a ceremony. You do not have to do a ceremony. I like to uh, go through a process of setting intentions. And what I would do with that is I actually would clear space, hold space for myself through like a prayer process or a mantra, um, to open up the channel, um, and basically have the universe assist me with clarity in my intentions, um, those types of things. So it starts early on for me, but sometimes even the day before, where I'm working on that, depending on how much time I have to dedicate it to it. So in what I like to do, it usually takes about 2 hours, a little bit more, sometimes 3 hours. Um, but the first phase of that is to start thinking about what intentions, and like I said, that's actually a process. So from the full moon on, I'm, like I said, I've cleared space, so that actually gives me ideas and gives me the freedom mentally, spiritually, to start dreaming and thinking of other things. So when we get close to the new moon, usually like the day before or so, then I like to do this little prayer to the universe to hold space for me while I complete this, to give me clarity, and help me focus in on the things that would best serve me for the next 28 days. So once we do that, then I feel I can actually go in, and so I start making some intentions. Okay, so I start with the intentions from the month before. And obviously, when I got to the full moon, I released some of those. So I take a look at the intentions that are still valid. Make sure once again that is something I want to carry on into the next lunar cycle. And if so, I include those in my new intentions. And then I give myself space um, to include some new things. And it could be similar to the ones that I let go and just tweaked, or it could be completely brand new things. And it might be small, might be big, you know. Um, it really could be anything, but I try to keep it under 10. Um, I don't want too many things to focus on. Like I said, there's only really 28 days or so. And if you get a whole lot of things going on, you really, your focus isn't there. And we know flow follows focus. Um, Focus is a key part of any manifestation. And when your energy is um, scattered, you're not able to actually manifest anything, and it actually leads to more confusion, not clarity. So, like I said, so I like to keep it under 10, usually around 8 intentions is what I roll with. Whatever feels good though, and it's always what resonates. So once I've picked those out, then I can go ahead and plan out what I want to do for an actual new moon ceremony. And it just depends on the time of year, um, how clear it is. I like to do most of my moon ceremonies out in the actual power of the moon. So even though a new moon, technically we don't with our physical eye see, any part of the moon in an actual new moon, it is of course there. We know that that is a visual illusion. The moon is always there, as the sun is. Um, but I do like to do it at night, under the power of the moon. Like I said, whether I can physically see it with my naked eye or not, I can feel the power, and I use that power. I also, like I said, there's various ways to set the intention. You guys know me, I'm into affirmations and mantras, so that's usually a big part of it. I always include breath work, and if you're not familiar with breath work, please check around on this channel. I have several videos talking about breathing techniques and breath work. In fact, when you guys just caught me here, I was just finishing up a breathwork pattern of just deep breathing and clearing. To me, it's essential, and it actually helps me be balanced, calm down, and clear, and be able to focus, uh, be present. So check that out. That's definitely always a part of my process. Lots of times, my process will also include things like earth elements. It may include crystals, moonstones. Um, Lots of times it includes, like I said, prayers and mantras and chants, those type of things. It could or could not include music. Lots of times I like to make my own music. I am a percussionist, so I really feel those type of things. So when you get percussive things going on over and over, just like a mantra. I mean, you can do it just with words, which is what a mantra is. But you can also do it strictly with rhythm or with musical instruments in a rhythm. Experiment with it. See what works for you. Remember, it's all about what resonates to you. But lots of times I do use earth, the different earth elements of fire, water, earth, and wind. Like my ceremony will include either pieces of those, or when I write it, I will write those things into the actual ceremony, if that makes sense. So I might say something about this, intending this for the next 28 days, and may the fire of the of the planet, whatever, the fire of the universe, and the earth from the planet, and the water, and I'll include all the elements and things like that into it, whatever I feel like when I'm writing it. And like I said, it definitely changes for me based on the time of year it is. So when we're in winter, and we're dealing with snow and ice and cold, it will change up how I approach it. Because this is, to me, it's not about having some specific thing that you do every single time. It kind of becomes like the Lord's Prayer at that point, and nothing against Christians or the Lord's Prayer or anything, but it becomes very impersonal, and I feel it loses its power because, once again, the power is in the passion. I tell you guys every single week, and when you can no longer put personalization and the passion behind it, it loses its power in manifesting. Okay, it just does. So, like I said, in the summertime will be a totally different thing than the fall. And the spring, of course, will be different still. And I include all the elements of nature. If you guys follow me, you know I'm huge in nature. So whatever is pertinent to that time of year. Like I said, if the weather is good, it will determine whether or not I may be outside in the elements. Although I will say I've done it in the thunderstorm before. I've had completed a ceremony, actually a full moon ceremony in a thunderstorm, and it was amazing. It was awesome, one of the best ever for me. So anyway, so setting intentions, just to kind of reiterate what we've gone over, setting intentions is the first stage of manifestation. Those of us who follow a lunar cycle, we like to set intentions on the new moon. Okay, and we use the power of the new moon and the time that it tracks naturally, to let those intentions play out and give us, on the time of the new moon, a fresh start, a way to include new intentions in a 28-day cycle as opposed to waiting like a whole year. And then a way to evaluate that as we go and work things in and out of our manifestation cycle. So if that makes sense. So I'm super interested to see what you guys do. This is just kind of something I've developed myself over the last 5 years. I know some other people who do similar things, but of course, as I teach, it should be something very personal to you. So therefore, their processes are different. I'm interested, if you guys do follow a similar process, what your processes are in general. I'm not asking for your specifics once again, because I think that is personal to you, and that's something spiritual and between you and the universe, or source energy, or whatever you like to call it. But if you're interested in that, or if that's something you do, please share that down below. I'd be really interested in that. If you don't want to share it on YouTube, go to our Facebook group of the same name, NSPR8, Inspirate, and share it there. I'd be interested in hearing from you guys. And if this is the first time you're hearing about using the moon to manifest, I'd also be interested to know what you think about that. If you have any other questions, you can inbox me on Facebook. So appreciate you guys sitting in with me. Hopefully this was interesting to you and it helped you a little bit. I just thought, since I was going through the process of doing setting new moon intentions today, that I would share that process with you guys and kind of see where you're at in it as well. So once again, thanks for tuning in. I've been Tony Doyle, TonyDoyleInspires.com for the Inspirate channel. And once again, if you have not already, please subscribe. Hit the little bell icon that give you a notification when we put out new videos every day. Thumbs up if you like it. Share it out if you love it. And like I say, if you can't stay inspirated, please just look around and appreciate more. We are abundant in so many ways. it's all around us, and I'm telling you that you can be inspired by literally anything around you if you just give it a little bit of focus and intention. So that's it for today, and I hope you guys have a good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Peace and love to you guys. We'll talk to you soon.